So I'm going to read this first one. It's lengthy, but I think it's got some good bits in it that we can dive into. I've got a house full of teenagers too. So if you hear stuff going on in the background, that is what's happening. The thing I'm struggling with currently, being in the calm part of the cycle, is that we have both been able to acknowledge where we have contributed to the negative dynamic. I'm seeing small and slow, but still consistent changes. See, I always want to answer things as I go, but let me finish this. How do I measure how much improvement is enough for me to warrant staying versus leaving? My growth journey took a decade. How do you decide how much time you can give them? Well, it's really, I can't even answer that for you. That is a personal process. So you're just not at that point yet, right? Like we talked about in the boot camp, if you were taking the boot camp, it's not a matter of like me saying when, right? Oh, here are the 10 signs to how to know when. It's done through your work, your inner work. You just haven't reached that level yet. So you can, it's almost nicer to just be like able to go into the process of, okay, I'm just not there yet. And if you're wanting a process for how to get there, that would be to join my End the Cycle program that is now open. And then this poster continues by saying, I'm financially stable and could afford to leave even if it would be tight. I'm also meeting with a lawyer next week, and to have someone in my back pocket, great. Obviously, I want to try and make things work, but since finding all this material in the podcast, I'm definitely awake now. I'm finally seeing how I was doing all the work and know that cannot continue. I know I can only focus on my work and growth, but how do I judge how much of his growth is enough for me to stay versus you didn't do enough, but you tried? I'm still leaving. Okay, so I want to address the first part of this is I saw that you had said in here that we've both acknowledged how we contributed to the negative dynamic. And I want to say here, ladies, when I'm talking about taking ownership and accountability for your own behavior and your role in it, I'm not talking, number one, about sharing that with him. And I'm not talking, number two, about you're causing it, okay, that you could control it. So I want to be very careful with that I'm not portraying it in such a way that it seems like I'm saying you could control his behavior by changing your role in the dynamic, okay? This is more about your own growth and taking accountability for your part in the dynamic, okay? And so again, we go into that much more in depth, like what does that actually look like inside of ETC? So if you want mentoring with me and you want that hands-on support, that's where you need to be to get that. So yes, be very careful that you're not taking ownership for things to him and going vulnerable and admitting your part. Abusers like to equalize the problems in the relationship to make it seem like you are half responsible or maybe even more responsible, that they are just as hurt as you, if not more hurt than you. That is the tune that they like to jingle, is you've hurt me too. You've done way worse. So then, yes, you want to take ownership for your role, but it is not to justify abuse. Okay, so it's tricky. Again, my apologies. They're all upstairs cooking and making a mess in my kitchen. Oh gosh. Some of the things in here are not really questions, so I'm not going to try and address things that don't have questions. I'm very much a stickler about, please ask me a direct question. And if you join in End the Cycle, you will see that when you are submitting your questions, I will not answer it unless there is a question in there. This is how you get to learn how to kind of pinpoint your own issues, is by distilling it down to like, okay, what's the question? Because what I see a lot of women doing is just kind of throwing it all out there, and it's no wonder you're not getting any answers, because it's just, you're not really even defining the problem. You have to define the problem. So there's a lot too of this, like my partner keeps promising me he is trying to do the hard work, but it's hard and it's going to take a while. And meanwhile, I'm on the receiving end of destructive behaviors. I don't expect 100% improvement immediately, but my therapist asked me how long I'm willing to be on the receiving end while he is doing his work. I don't have an answer. So again, this is what I said in the boot camp, is that giving the gift of your time is your greatest asset, right? There's not much more I could think of that is of higher value than your time and energy and your years. And so you have to eventually get to a place in your own evolution and your own awakening that you realize that. And so if you're questioning this just means that you're not at that level yet. And that is the reason why I came up with the 5 levels of awakening in the boot camp, is because that's what I've seen in the work that I've been doing with women for the last 6 years in this program, in teaching and the cycle. Is it's having an understanding that you can't get there from here, right? You've got to move, you've got to evolve, you've got to move up the scale by doing very specific things. Another question here is, how do I reduce the resentment and negativity I feel toward my partner? I know he won't change and I'm working on my exit plan, but I'm struggling shifting into my part in the co-creation and taking responsibility for my own actions. I'm getting better, but I still find myself thinking about the negative stuff he does. So again, it kind of goes back to what I had said before about ownership is not taking ownership in the way that you could have controlled the outcome or that you could have controlled his behavior. Because when you're with a true abuser, someone that's abusive, nothing you do can stop the abuse. Nothing you have done has caused it either. Accountability is for yourself to recognize, I'm not me in this. This relationship is stealing me. I've lost me in this. And so I need to take accountability where I'm abandoning myself, where I'm not standing in my boundaries, where I'm not taking a stand, where I'm still mucking around in his nonsense and thinking so much focused on him. See, every woman that I've ever worked with is fully 100% focused on their spouse. Even if they think that they're not and they're doing the work, they're not actually doing the work. And they are not truly focusing on themselves for the right reason. They're focusing on themselves to see if their partner will change along with them. You have to do it for you so that you're so set up within yourself that walking away is going to be so much easier because you've got that foundation. You've got you and you can take you with you. Okay, you're going to not have the fear of being alone. That's something that I saw in here too. I fear being alone. When you have built yourself up to such a degree that you feel secure and safe within you, you don't fear being alone. I love my alone time. I love it. I mean, I don't get a lot of it with teenagers. Like my girls live with me full time. They've always got, a boyfriend or friends here. There's always someone here. It is rare that I am alone in my own house. But, to think that you're going to be alone every single day of your life and you're just going to, like I said in the boot camp, you're going to just be an old lady alone with cats kind of thing. You have to learn how to love your alone time. And if you don't love being alone, there's something in there you're avoiding. There's something in there you're avoiding seeing. We need to be still. This is part of the work. You need to be still. It's not just about doing an action. It's about stillness. And it's about getting really clear on what it is that you even want and what you feel and what's true for you. Okay. Another question. I have the means to leave and I've been taking baby steps. Still struggling with fear. He watches the kids if I need to travel for work, then the intrusive thoughts of what if he runs away with them and what if he won't watch them and what if I get fired? I'm recognizing this is a negative spiral of my own thoughts, and each of those issues can be addressed as the time comes. How do I keep the momentum going? So it is recognizing those downward spiral thoughts that just lead to one thing to another, to the point where you freeze, you're frozen, and you're like, okay, I'm not doing anything. This is way too scary. You have to stop scaring yourself. That's number one. We are very good at scaring the shit out of ourselves. And we just think about the worst case scenarios. And believe me, this is something I have struggled with in my life. And I still have had to struggle with that as a single mom, as the breadwinner, the only income provider, taking care of everything, running my own business, running my own company, my own corporation. Like there's a lot, and there's a lot of fear. And I've had many nights of panicking about worst case scenarios. So it is learning how to self-soothe and realize that the stressing and the worrying will only make you sick. It doesn't do anything, right? To sit there and worry and think about all those things, you're more likely to actually attract those things to you than if you are just in this feminine energy, which is another piece of the healing puzzle, is being in the feminine energy of receiving, asking for what you want and relaxing into it and taking aligned, inspired action. is very different than forceful action that's coming from fear, okay? So you keep the momentum going by staying connected to yourself, getting clear on what it is that you want and what you do not want anymore within the relationship, and you start taking those aligned actions, the inspired action, and that has to come from self-connection. All right, the next one I have here is, I'm keeping notes of when I do the hero behaviors. Awesome. Hopefully that was a helpful video. My question is, how do I reduce the resentment and negativity I feel toward my partner? I know he won't change and I'm working on my exit plan, but I'm struggling shifting into my part in the co-creation and taking responsibility for my actions. I'm getting better, but I still find myself thinking about all the negative stuff that he does. So that's a really big one around, I'm not sure if I just answered this one. Did I just answer this one? Anyway, I'll assume that I didn't. It's very easy to get caught up in, I think I did answer this, but I didn't answer this part of it, is that I'm getting better, but I still find myself thinking about the negative stuff he does. When you're thinking about the negative stuff he does, that is a very good opportunity for you to shift into, what do I need to do? What do I need to focus on? Because again, like, start to pay, this is for everyone, okay? This is like the biggest thing that I could give you from all of these, because these all have the same thread running through. I'm focusing on him. He's doing this. He's not doing that. He did this. He didn't do that. And it's the constant focus on him. Whenever you're thinking about what he's doing, what he's not doing, you're telling him what he's doing, what he's not doing. You're having another relationship conversation, just like you have a million times before. You're basically saying to him, you're so important to me. I am just going to give you all of my attention. Even when you're not around, I'm going to think about you and think about all the things that you're doing. And what are you doing when you're doing that? Are you focusing on you? Are you focusing on bettering yourself? Are you out moving your body to get exercise? Are you, focusing on the inner work that you need to do to feel your best? Are you focusing on making sure you're getting your house together in a sense so that you can fly the nest if shit hits the fan? So when you notice you're going there, that is the addictive component to the negativity, and you have to break it by noticing that you're doing it and then shifting and moving your attention, move your attention, because you're focusing on the outward, the outside, the external. Not going to get you anywhere. And what it only does is really just helps you to stay frozen and stuck and feeling stuck in that, right? And so you take that energy and that mental energy that you're using to focus on what he's doing and not doing, and you ask yourself, what do I need right now? What should I focus on right now? What would make me feel really good right now? What's something that obsessing about this and fixating on this is helping me avoid? What am I avoiding by focusing on him? What he's doing, what he's not doing, how much he's hurt me, and on it goes. I'm not denying that there are lots of things that you could be focusing on that he's done. But there's nothing you can do about the water under the bridge. All you can do is decide what you're going to do right now about it. And if you want the support, and the cycle is open for just a few days, and the early action takers pricing is only up for a couple of days. This is a very high touch level of support you're going to get over the next 30 days while you implement my process that I've taken women through for the past 6 years. Since 2019, I ran the first session. There are women in this group that took that very first session. And they sometimes pop up, and I always remember, and I love hearing from them. But it's something that I have perfected and refined, and you get support inside of our Telegram group. So that is just like, so if you've ever been in the Facebook chat that's in here, if you were in there, it's kind of like that, but you can enter in with a username. So then you can remain anonymous. I know over the years, I've done many different forms of support. I've had enough women say, I don't like going into Facebook very much. I'm not even on Facebook. They don't want to interact on Facebook about such delicate topics, which I totally understand. And this app is very cool because I can respond to something you're posting or asking with an audio response. I've used it before. So I've tested out many, and I think based on feedback that I've heard from women, I think this is one that I will stick with because it's pretty user-friendly, it's very easy to use, and it feels like you're just in a group chat with the other women, and you can hold down the other women's texts or responses and then reply to them. So it's kind of like a group text. It's the closest thing that I have to explaining it. And, you know, on the negative side, it's been known for like the internal criminals because it's so secure. There's nothing that can leak out. It's encrypted. And so the only thing I would say to you ladies is to make sure the app is hidden. You don't have it on your home screen. You have double authentication on your phone and all of your devices. I'm saying this because I know that sometimes these men can be really sneaky and get in on things. You might be worried that the transaction for the program will show up and the cycle of narcissistic abuse or something. So what I have done is I have put it under the umbrella of the Awakening Women Collective because I plan to do more with that umbrella. But right now there is the End the Cycle 30-day program that you can enroll in. And I will put the link above this video, and you can put any questions you have about that below as well in the comments. And I will chat with you soon. Bye for now.